Oh, and good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is 10:14 here in Chicago, where I'm at, and I have came on to do that video that I said I was gonna do like a long time ago. But now I finally have the chance to do it. I'm sitting doing Uber right now at O'Hare, so I have the chance to just kind of sit down and go over everything with you all. So here we are. I am finally finished with the program. I have successfully completed clinicals. I have successfully completed the course classwork of 18 months for the program. I am at the end, you all. So I'm going to explain what's next for me. But first, before I do that, we're going to talk about my grades. So let's jump right into it. So the first semester here, I'm going to zoom in. Let's see if I can. There we go. So the first semester here, as you can see, I have 5 classes for the first semester. And those classes were Professional Development, English Composition 1, Venipuncture for Imaging Professionals, Law and Ethics in Imaging Sciences, and General Mathematics. So those classes were not that bad. Now, the only thing that, to me, if you can say was a little bit difficult for me, was English composition. I hate English. I know that's like, you hate English? Yes, I hate English class. Anything that has to deal with writing papers, I hate it. You know, and a lot of papers that we had to write and type up were like 4 and 5 page papers. Too much research. I hate doing papers, y'all. I really don't like doing papers at all. But anywho, I got an A in the class, even though I hated it, and I was gritting my teeth for every paper I had to write. I did a good job. I got an A in that class. Professional development was just pretty much like professional skill class. You know, we got dressed and came in and did like a mock interview, and we did our resumes in this class and cover letters and all that good stuff. So that was a pretty easy class. For Law and Ethics and Imaging Sciences, that was basically a class about all the law aspects of MRI. So we got a chance to learn about negligence, about a malpractice, about like just a lot of different medical terms, autonomy, you know, the legal rights of the actual profession versus the legal rights of the actual patient or client. So we just got a chance to just learn everything dealing with imaging and law. Now, venipuncture for imaging professionals, that was phlebotomy technician pretty much. I was able, after taking that class, to sit down for the NCCT licensing exam for phlebotomy. So after I took that class, as you can see, I received an A out of that class. I ended up sitting for that phlebotomy test license, and I passed, and I had got my phlebotomy license. So that class was very detailed, but you know, if you do your proper studying and everything, you could get it. So let's move on to the second semester. So the second semester, you see I have 5 classes as well. And as you can see, I know you probably noticed like the start and end dates of the classes, they all started on different times, but they also ended on different times. So each class wasn't a full 4 months. You know, one class could just be 3 months, one class could just be 4 months, or one class could be 2 months. You know, it depended on I guess it depended on the how in depth the course goes, and how, you know, how much needed it is. Like, for example, anatomy and physiology was a course that is much needed for MRI in general. So that class was the longest class. That class was almost the whole 4 months. MRI and physics and instrumentation too, that's a class that's much needed and one. You know, those classes were very long as far as start date and end date. So going back to the classes I had MRI physics and instrumentation 1. That class there was pretty eye-opening for me, because you're basically learning a new language, MRI physics. Like, that is a whole new language. That's like learning Mandarin or something, some type of new language you never heard of, and you're just like trying to soak it all in. But I got an A in that class, so I was thankful for that. Medical terminology was so easy. If you already are in a healthcare background, that class was so easy for me. Like, what does NPO mean? Nothing by mouth. What does PO mean? By mouth. What does a line with a C means? Without. What is this stuff was just so easy because I have a medical background. I've been a CNA since 2011. So, I've seen so many freaking medical terminology, abbreviations, and all types of stuff my whole, CNA career, that it's not even funny. So that class was so easy for me. As you can see, I got an A out of that class. Anatomy and physiology. Now, the anatomy part was easy. It was the physiology part, y'all. That part was no joke. Like, how does the heart work? It took me, I had to get tutoring for that, because I was like, wait, it starts through the what? And it goes through the who? And it goes up the, wait, huh? So I had to get tutoring for my anatomy and physiology class. And as you can see, I came out of that with a C. I could have gotten a B, but I think I scored low on the final. So I came out of that with a C. I came out of that as if I had been drugged through the dirt and the mud, y'all. I was fighting in that class. For me, that semester, the anatomy and physiology was the hardest class. Introduction to speech communication, that class was so easy. We did a lot of projects and stuff, but the class was very easy. I wish that it could have been geared more towards MRI, because it was more so geared towards just speech in general, but I wish it could have been geared towards, how do you talk to the patient, when they're claustrophobic? How do you address the patient when, you found out that they have something that prevents them from getting an MRI? I wish it was more MRI geared, but it wasn't. But I got an A out of it. MRI physics and instrumentation, that class was also new language once again, because now we're learning a different level of MRI physics. Now we're learning a more advanced level of MRI physics. So I got a B out of that class, and I was so hurt because I literally had like a 90, it was like a 90, I had an 89.6%, and I could have gotten an A. I'm like a couple of points away from an A. So I was so hurt, y'all. But my final that I had took, I think I got a B in it or something, an 86%. And so that had brought my grade to an 89.3 or 0.6%. Y'all, I was so hurt. But anyway, so that's second semester. The third semester. So third semester was sectional anatomy. So once again, I'm good in anatomy. You know what I'm saying? I am 100%. I could look at something and be like, oh, okay, that's the corpus callosum. And, I look at it as the also the pituitary gland, which is like the little seed or berry that the hummingbird is carrying. I know the pons. I know the brain stem. I could look at it and be like, okay, I know this is the supraspinatus muscle. I know this is the teres minor. Okay, I know this. I know that. I could look, and identify. But it was that, like I said, physiology second semester that I could not do. But thank God, sectional anatomy was not about physiology. It was about identifying and learning what's what, where is where, So that was a pretty good class for me. Patient care and safety and MRI, that was also a pretty easy class for me as well. It wasn't that bad. I had got a high B in that class. I was hoping to get an A, but I was fine with getting a B. Introduction to humanities, that class, I was just like, when it came to humanities and psychology, I was just like, what does this have to do with MRI? But it was a part of your associate's degree, so you had to take it, because it's a part of getting an associate's degree. So introduction to humanities is basically about like the romantic period, about Socrates, Plato, about like all of that ancient Greece and all of that stuff. I was just like, this don't have nothing to do with MRI. But I got through it. And then we have psychology. Y'all, psychology, I felt like we were going to school for psychology. That's how detailed it was. The teacher that we had, she is a I think she had her master's or something in psychology, and she's a psychologist or something like that. So she went into so much detail as if we're actually going to be getting the degree in psychology. I was just like, this is unreal, and I was just like, I had other stuff I needed to focus on, like sectional anatomy and patient care and safety and MRI position procedure. I kind of let psychology fall by the wayside. I'm not going to even lie. Because I was just like, I have enough to deal with. Now I'm got to learn these theories and, William Hunter, whatever his name was, and all of these different theories and their different logics and stuff. And, it was just too much. It was too much, y'all. It was too much. I already had enough, So, anyways, going to fourth semester, as you can see, there's a lot going on here. So in the fourth semester was when I started clinicals. So you can see it says MRI Clinicals 1 and MRI Clinicals 2. So basically with clinicals, I was outside of the school and I did my clinicals where I worked at in the MRI suite there. And, on top of that, I had my coursework that I had to study. So advanced imaging techniques was a class that I had. That class was pretty difficult for me. That class, it was just like, I don't know. I felt like I was being taught by Einstein or something, it was just like, what? It was all about how can I say it? It's all about the machine. So it was all about like just all these different calculations and stuff. It was just kind of difficult for me. I was just like, when I left up out of that class, I still felt like, what did I just learn? That's how I felt. Like, I mean, and our instructor, he is very knowledgeable. He was one of the head of MRI coordinator at a very well-known hospital here in Chicago. And so he was very knowledgeable. But when he was talking to us, it was just like, sometimes I would just black out like, wait, what did he say? And I don't know how I passed that class. I just know I read the material, and when we took a test, I took the test and I would pass, and I still don't understand how I passed the class. I just, like, I can't really explain it, y'all. It was just, like, unbelievable. I don't know. I don't really know what to say about that class, but it was advanced. When it says advanced, it was advanced. It should be all capitals with the advanced, because I was just like, So anyways, then we had sectional anatomy 2. Now, mind you, sectional anatomy 2 is taught by an actual physician at a well-known hospital here in Chicago. And so she came in on point, baby. She taught us as if we was her kids. You know what I'm saying? She taught us in and out. She worked with us one-on-one. She took that time out. She, made graphs and stuff for me. You know what I'm saying? She allowed us to email her if we had any questions. Like, that teacher was the best. The best teacher to teach us anatomy and physiology. The first teacher that we had for third semester that taught us sectional anatomy 1, he's also an excellent, excellent teacher. He is the reason why I know the brain as much as I do. Because I was lost. I've never had a sectional anatomy course, period. I've never even done anatomy and physiology, period. So when we got into sectional anatomy, I'm like, I didn't even know there was all these parts of the brain. I didn't even know that they were categorized as frontal, parietal, occipital. I was just like learning so much. Like, and our teacher, he would call our name, have us come to the front. He would point out things within the brain, and he would ask for us to name it. So we had to be on point with it, and so for our last semester with the sectional anatomy teacher too, she was like even more, detailed with us, and we needed that, for the rest of the systems of the body, like the abdominal area, you know, the pelvis, you know, the bones. We needed, you know, that detail so that we can know, like, okay, this is what this is how that, you know, operates or whatever. So as you can see, sectional anatomy 2, I got an A. Advanced imaging techniques, I got a B. MRI position and procedures 2, I got a B. MRI position and procedures 3, I got an A. Medical imaging pathology, that was taught by a good teacher. It was just a language barrier that kind of affected all of us. You know, it was kind of hard for us to understand him at times. So for me, I did a lot of self-studying because it was hard sometimes to understand, you know, like what he was saying, because he talked so fast, and if you ask him to repeat, he like, oh, you know, he'll repeat it or whatever, you know, and he's still talking fast, you know. So sometimes like all the time I had to like do a lot of self-studying and stuff so that I can like really get the different types of pathologies. But I'm thankful that I passed this class with a B. And then after that, we had an MRI registry review. So I got to be out of that class too. And then as you can see underneath here, MRI clinicals 3 means success, because I, you know, finished that. And then down here at the bottom, you can see MRI clinicals 4. So each MRI clinicals 1 represents 250 hours. So the first one is 250. The second one is an additional 250 hours, which equals 500. The third one is an additional 250 hours, which equals 750. And then the last one is another 250 hours. So that's 1,000. We are required to complete 1,000 clinical hours before we can sit for any boards or take anything else, you know, to get our license in MRI. So that is pretty much my whole transcript. As you can see, I had to white some things out because it had like my personal information on there. Definitely don't want to show that, so I had to white some things out or whatever. But other than that, you know, you can see my school, where it's located, and all that good stuff. And I also wanted to show you all my degree. I received my degree in the mail, and you know, they called me and asked me, do you want to come pick it up, or do you want us to mail it to you? And I was like, sure, go ahead and mail it to me. So this is my actual associate's degree. As you can see, Latanya King, the degree of Associates of Applied Science and Magnetic Resonance Imaging, MRI Technology. So I received that July 24th. I was so excited. So now you might ask, well, what are the next steps for you? So the next steps for me is I take my exit exam this Tuesday coming up. I think that date is August the 6th. Yeah, August the 6th. And I take my exit exam. The school requires me to take an exit exam, and it's gonna, I guess, kind of tell me like where I stand at and stuff on if I was to take the actual ART test. And then after that, I'm going to, you know, do all my paperwork and stuff, get that together to, you know, start applying to take the actual ART licensing test. So that's pretty much what's next for me. It's just taking that exit exam and then taking the ART. But y'all, I am done. Like, I am so happy I am done. You know, I feel as though it took me so long to get through this program. And I'm just happy that I stuck with it, you know, that I didn't give up and that I completed it. You know, I'm just completely thankful. You know, I was crying and stuff, y'all, you know, and because I was just so happy. Like, it was just a feeling of joy. So I'm going to end this here. I'm going to get back to working. But if you all have any